Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and to our audience worldwide, numbering 1,200 every month separately. Welcome to our forum today. It's quite exciting. You talk about going from waste to economic development. Quite exciting. As a matter of fact, if you saw on the screen, we're talking of Nueva Char. What on earth is char, right? We're talking about biochar, fantastic technology that is not done enough here. And specifically, they talk about rice husk, waste of rice husk that's wasted, and they'll make it productive for sustainable agriculture and even carbon removal. Fascinating. We have three speakers today, not one, three. Each one with his own expertise, his or own expertise. And as we said, we're here for action. In other words, when we hear something, it's nice to be entertained and to be knowledgeable. We want action because our foundation is supposed to help reduce poverty and make people's lives better. And this technology, which I think is not promoted enough, is important. And our objective is to get the top people from here. We've had two speakers on biochar before. To get the three of them, rather the 3+1+1, five of them, talk to the top people in agriculture so they put money and budget behind this. But even they don't do that, we're here to connect people in the audience and the speakers to our contacts. We have contacts in government, in banks, in businesses, in NGOs, etc. So let's start, right? We have three speakers. I'll ask each of them to give 2 to 3 minutes about themselves because we want a personal relationship and we want to do things outside this forum. After this, we talk to them and see what we can do. And in fact, this is 8 to 9, which is for 1,200 people worldwide, and then 9 to 10 for action planning, but that's limited to the people here. So let's start with three speakers. We have Dodgy Nunez, Alexis Belonio, and Claro Torres. Each one will speak for 10 minutes, and I'll ask each one briefly talk about, their name, of course, and what brought them into this, a personal experience that brought them into this. This gives us a connection to you. You're not just people with wisdom. You're people who are fascinating how you got into this. If possible, just 2 minutes each, very quickly, and then we start with the three parts. Right, the first part is by Dodgy about the background, why this all happened. The second part, which is Engineer Alexis Belonio, which is, of course, what this really is. And finally, the benefits, its uses and its benefits for our poor especially. And that's, of course, Dr. Claro Torres, right? So the first part is 2 minutes each. Incidentally, I will give the phone number already, right, of the lead person for this, Dodgy Nunez. His phone number, take your pens down because he can call from all over the world. Is very nice instead of his office. He's giving us his number, right? It's 0917 837 5011. 0917 837 5011. If you don't have a pen, you can call us, right? Okay. So let's start, no? Let's start. First 2 minutes each of you, and then the three parts, each 10 minutes, right? Okay. Let's start with Dodgy. Dodgy, your name and 2 minutes background, how you got into this. Dodgy, can you start?
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you very much, Secretary Ernie, for that great opening introduction of and an opportunity for Alcom Carbon Markets to be able to share our biochar journey and our biochar experience.
Yeah,
I am Attorney Rodeo J. Nunez Jr. I am the Managing Director of Alcom Carbon Markets Philippines, Inc. I have been a practicing lawyer for the last 30 years, and I have transferred my love for the law into the love for biochar. And we have started this biochar journey sometime in 2021. And we have, and later we will show to you the beauty of biochar and the miraculous effects that this have on the soil and of course yield. And yeah, and hope we can also invite you to join us in this biochar journey of Alcom Carbon Markets Philippines.
Thank you, Dodgy. It's nice you went from law to now helping farmers. It's a good slide. I came from cement to this. Thank you. The next one, of course, is Alexis Belonio.
Sir, good morning. Yeah, good morning, sir. I am Engineer Alexis Belonio, Chief Engineer of Alcom Carbon Market Philippines, and I'm an agricultural and biosystem engineer as well as ASEAN engineer. So I worked on this rice since 1984 at the International Rice Research, and now for several years I developed all this bioenergy technology as well as biochar production. Using rice. So during the lecture, I can explain more of the different work on biochar conversion through torrefaction, through uh, pyrolysis and gasification process, which we can produce a good quality biochar, as well as the other byproduct, which is unknowingly for most of us is the bio oil and the biosyn gas. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share this info to all.
We're blessed. Alexis has international experience and he's a scientist, right? He doesn't talk just vague stuff. He really delivers, right?
Yeah.
The scientist.
Sir, if I may, sir,
Yeah.
before we go to the Claro, let me just add, actually, Engineer Alexis Belonio is one of our prominent Filipino inventor. He actually won the Rolex Award in Switzerland for his invention of cook stove using the rice husk for the gasification process and producing blue flame. So he won the Rolex Award in Switzerland, and we are very glad that he is actually in our team and an expert in gasification as a process on how to produce biochar.
Wow, we're blessed you're with us and with this team. And though you're a little bit older than teenagers, you are really getting all that wisdom to us. We really appreciate it. And the next one is the eminent doctor.
Morning, everyone, and to our valued listeners this morning. My name is Claro Torres. I have my PhD degree in agriculture from the University of the Philippines at Los Baños, and I worked from 1976 to 1986 at International Rice Research Institute. After that, I worked for more than 20 years in the plantation crops in Davao, working on banana, pineapple, and high-value crops. And after that, I also worked with the Philippine Coconut Authority, at that time in charge of the improving the life of the coconut farmers, and later on as Assistant Vice President of the United Coconut Planters Bank, where we developed some processes to produce biochar using coconut charcoal. And from there, knowing that this is the first love of my dream in agriculture, I had a chance to work with the Alcom, and in these times, not producing biochar on coconut, but biochar for coconut rice hull. So that's how I came to this project. Thank you.
So let's start with Doji Nunez, please. Doji.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you again, sir. And again, good morning to everyone. So what we want to share today is our biochar journey, which we call Project Nueva Char, and we have started this actually in the province of Nueva Ecija because, as we know, the province of Nueva Ecija is the rice granary of the Philippines, and with the volume of rice production that result in rice husk, then this is a venue for us to be able to do our biochar project using rice husk as an agricultural waste to be utilized as a feedstock. Okay, like that. Next slide. Okay. So yeah, uh, what we have in Nueva Ecija is actually a joint venture agreement between the province of Nueva Ecija and Alcom Carbon Markets Philippines, whereby the province of Nueva Ecija owns this gasifier, and Alcom Carbon Markets is the one that is operating this facility. So basically, as I've said, Nueva Ecija is the rice granary, and this is the reason why we first targeted our biochar project to start in Nueva Ecija because of the abundant volume of rice husk that is available in this province. So This joint venture was signed sometime in February 1 of 2023 and stipulates to allow Alcom to use and operate and maintain and retrofit the province of Nueva Ecia's biomass pyrolyzer gasifier at the grain drying facility located at Barangay Singalat, Palayan City, Nueva Ecija. Alcom Carbon Market is actually an end-to-end carbon sequestration project developer. We do the due diligence on where a biochar project can be set up. We have the experience to operate a biochar facility. We market our own the residue, which is the biochar, a solid bio oil as the liquid component, and syngases as the gas component of the project. And we also have the capacity to develop our own LCA, or the life cycle assessment, and for purposes of registering a biochar project under acceptable platform in the international registries. And for purposes of our project here in Nueva Ecija, we are under the platform of Puro.Earth. It is a Finnish company to authenticate carbon projects. So, and we also have a team in Alcom Singapore that is doing the monetization of carbon credits that are generated from this project. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so basically, this facility is processing 8 tons of rice husk per day, and with a recovery rate of 36%, we are producing 3 tons of biochar, rice husk biochar per day. And this facility, next slide. Okay, the process of which is that we bring rice hull or rice husk from a rice mill into the facility, and then we process it through the process called pyrolysis, which is turning these agricultural waste of rice husk into rice husk biochar under the temperature of 500 to 600 degrees. And then once this passes through the pyrolyzer, and if you can see at the picture below, we are doing a cooling down of the biochar in order that the combustion will stop, that the temperature will have to go to as low as 30 degrees and before sacking this and putting this into storage. Okay, so this project has initially was able to distribute 360 tons of rice as biochar in the whole province of Nueva Ecija, where we were able to give this through a government subsidy to the 27 municipalities and 5 cities of Nueva Ecija. And all of them had came back as recorded, as monitored and recorded by the Office of the Provincial Agriculture of Nueva Ecija, that all crops where biochar was applied, all came back and reported an increase in their yield. Okay, next. Okay, so this is just some of the pictures that shows the farm trial and the utilization or application of biochar when this was given as a subsidy. And if you can see the other pictures on the right, biochar is also now being applied in sugarcane fields in Negros, and we have our experimental use permit where we did the first phase in Cadiz City that generated an increase in yield in sugar yield of 10% for every 1 ton of biochar that is applied in a 1 hectare sugarcane field. We have also applied it for purpose of rice, and we have if you will look at the lower left picture, and this is this would show an increase in rice production of 18%. In the middle would show a increase in rice production in Santa Rosa, Nueva Ecija of 13.8, and 18.6% increase in onions in the municipality of Laor, also in Nueva Ecija. The effect of biochar, as we've seen in many crops, would differ depending on how degraded the soil is and the condition, and of course other condition. But what we have experienced in the last 4 years in applying biochar on the soil is that this has shown an increase in yield in all kinds of crop. There is no exception. All kinds of crop that we have applied: eggplant, tomato, calamansi, the Philippine lime, coarse rice, onion, and we have also gone as far as Benguet in applying this for green ice lettuce and romaine, and also for root crop of sweet potato, that everything have recorded an increase in yield. Okay, so this facility that we have in Palayan City has, and in fact, this is something that I have been always saying, that the Philippines can be very, very proud, because this is the first biochar facility that is certified by Puro.Earth. It is an international registry that certifies and authenticates carbon removal projects, and this is the first in Southeast Asia. So, and we have already undergone 3 audits, and this has passed the methodology of Puro.Earth and has allowed this facility to generate carbon credits. And you can actually scan and check through the what is the QR code, and you can see the posting of a Puro.Earth registry and showing Alcom's biochar project. And it's no longer a secret. It's there in the website that the carbon credit that was generated by this project has been sold to a Standard Chartered Bank and other entities. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Now, the authentication has actually elevated the Philippines in the world map of biochar production. As I've said, this is the first in Southeast Asia, and we have been accepting a lot of visitors from Thailand, from Indonesia, from India, and even Europe and the US to see our project and how biochar is produced in this facility. Okay. Now, the carbon credit that was generated from this project was shared with the province of Nueva Ecija, and there was a ceremonial turnover last July 14 of 2025. And again, this is a first in the whole world, because for the first time, a local government unit was able to share in the monetization of carbon credits. And because, as we know, it is foreign governments or governments themselves that are supporting projects like this. But here, it is the government that actually were able to earn carbon credits. And this is, again, a first, not in just in Southeast Asia, but in the whole world. Because I think one aspect also that I want to emphasize is that in other parts of the world, what they do with the biochar for purpose of completing the methodology is just to bury it under the ground. But it is only in the Philippines that we're applying biochar in almost all kinds of crops, and that we have recorded increasing yield in the application of biochar. Okay, so we conducted our Philippines first biochar study tour sometime in October 1 of 2024. And this was attended by the Board of Investments, by the National Development Company, by the Global Green Growth Institute, and other government agencies of the national government like PhilRice, Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority, the Sugar Regulatory Authority, and other entities. And this is the purpose of this is to generate awareness, and to share our biochar project all throughout the Philippines and beyond. Now we have also accomplished another world's first, because Alcom, in collaboration with the Bulacan Agricultural State College, and as sponsored by GGGI and in partnership with the province of Nueva Ecija, we have developed the first ever biochar training module. And this one has already undergone a TBET pilot testing last week for 5 days, where if any entity would want to learn how to establish a biochar project, then this is a formal biochar production and application training that we can use. And this is actually being done as a requirement of TESDA for proper accreditation. Because the moment that TESDA will approve this, then this biochar Tibet training module can actually now be offered not just in the Philippines but worldwide, and placing Nueva Ecija in the Philippines at the forefront of biochar education. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Now, we have been partnering with the International Rice Research Institute for methane reduction, with the Philippine Carabao Center also as an admixture of biochar in the silage, also to reduce methane, with Central Luzon State University for research on application of biochar, and of course with the Benguet State University with a fertilizer pesticide authority accredited researcher who just finished the two-phase under an experimental use permit for leafy vegetable and root crop. And also the province of Benguet, we have already brought the technology to Benguet, and we have been doing research together with Governor Tiklas and its provincial agriculturist Juan Delina for application to highland crops. Next slide. Okay. So our international partnership have include our engagement with the Global Green Growth Institute for purpose of scaling the project. And given that Puro Earth is a Finnish company, the Embassy of Finland has been very supportive also of this project. Okay. And the Board of Investment is, we have also an application for some to make the project attractive for like tax holidays, etc. And NDC, the National Development Company, is also looking at Alcom's project in order how they can put in investment into the project. And also the project has caught the attention of the Climate Change Commission, and this representation has been invited. And I am now a member of the ASEAN Carbon Market Sustainability Council headed by Chairman William Dar, who is the former Secretary of Agriculture. And next. Okay. And basically, these are just all the other activities that Alcom is doing in the whole of the Philippines. Okay. This May, there will be a biochar effect. This is, we are part of this, and this is a film by Leonardo DiCaprio to highlight the effect of biochar, and the Philippines is part of this documentary. And of course, Nueva Char has also already gone to India and has also received several awards. Okay, these are the members of the Alcom team. We'll just you can just take probably a screenshot of this. Next. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and this is the biochar journey that we are very proud to share, and hopefully we can also collaborate with anyone who will be interested in this journey that we have started. Thank you. Now,
good morning again. So I'm going to present about how we can convert biochar into a useful material, and as well as at the same time for energy production. So we know that we have a lot of rices in the Philippines, and other biomass like corn cobs, coconut, and sugarcane bagasse as a source of material to convert biochar. So the goal here is to convert this biomass into a carbon-rich material. So as much as possible, a good quality carbon material that can be can stay longer in several years, without degrading it, because if not properly processed biochar, so this biochar sometimes are can be decomposed in the field, and that is a source of some of methane and CO2 emissions. So I'll show you my slides for the biochar. Okay, so the Rice's biochar production and characteristic. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is the content just about the pyrolysis and gasification process. Plus, we have while we produce biochar, we produce also bio oil and bio syngas, which I mentioned a while ago. Okay, next slide. So what is Rice's biochar? One of the byproduct of thermochemical conversion. So we need to heat this material into a level in such a way that we can get the a good quality carbon out of biomass. So we don't want to make this into us, but to limit the condition that it will produce more quality carbon-rich material for carbon sequestration and others. Next slide. Okay. So this is an example of raw rice husk from rice mill. So we have a lot of tons of rice husk from a different rice mill in Nueva Ecija, in other regions also. Next slide, please. So this is the rice husk biochar. So we convert the rice husk into biochar. So it's a black material that is rich in carbon, and all volatile matters are removed in such a way that we can have a good quality biochar. Next slide. So this is the components. So we have the rice husk. Actually, we have a moisture, fixed carbon, volatile matter, and ash content. And our target here is to maximize the amount of carbon. So we analyze biomass before we can do some the process that we can produce better carbon, because what we need to eliminate is the volatile content and moisture only. The ash is integrated in that fixed carbon. So in rice husk, we have around 20% of paddy is rice husk, and that rice husk, when we convert it to a biochar, we can get around 30 to 40% depending on the kind of pyrolyzer or gasifiers that we are going to use. Next slide. So this rice husk, so we have the rice husk, we have the biochar, and while producing biochar, we can get this bio oil and bio syngas. Bio oil is a good renewable energy source which we can use for thermal application, and we have the bio syngas, which a clean gaseous form that we can use for heating our boilers, heating so many, or running internal combustion engine to produce energy. So while we produce biochar, on the process, we also generating energy. So waste into energy. Next slide. So there are other biomass waste what we can find that we can also convert it, like pine needle leaves, cocoa shell, peanut shell, coffee husk, corn cobs, rice husk, and evergreen leaves. And even water hyacinth, we can convert that to biochar if we want. No, so there's ways that we can convert. Next slide. So this is the biochar from different biomass sources: rice husk, rice straw, corn cobs, and so many things. So we can use this to improve our soil health, and as well as for other applications in the near future. Next slide. So these are other example. Even spent coffee grounds, water hyacinth, wood chips, we can convert them all. So once we understand the characteristic and properties of this biomass, we can convert this to biochar. Next slide, please. So these are example biomass waste. Next slide. Okay. So ito po, production of rice biochar. So we can produce biochar through pyrolysis at 400 to 500 degrees C, gasification at a little bit higher, 500 to 700 degrees C. So if we targeted more on a biochar yield, we can use pyrolysis, and we can also produce bio oil and as well as bio syngas. But if we are generating biochar, as well as we want to utilize it for a renewable energy source or waste into energy, then we can use gasification process. So during the process, we have also the bio oil, which I can show you later on about this. Next slide. So principle of rice husk biochar production, so thermochemical process. So we do this either indirect or direct heating applications, no, or heating. So far the indirect heating application provides a good quality biochar. But if we do a gasification process so that we can utilize the energy that being wasted, we can do the direct heating process with control oxygen level. So we have bio-oil and bio-syngas as a core byproduct during operation. The temperature varies and also the exposure. So it depends on the target of machines we have. Next slide. Okay. So next slide. This is an example of indirect pyrolyzer. Then is the biochar. Next slide. Then this is a direct pyrolysis through gasification process. Next slide. So this is an example of some biochar produced from gasifier. Next slide. So about Alcom carbon market. So we are utilizing rotary type, screw type pyrolyzer as well as moving bed. Next slide. So this our rotary kiln in Nueva Ecija. So this is an indirect type rotary kiln rice as pyrolyzer. Next slide. Then biochar leaving from the gasifier. Next slide. Then this is the 12 ton per day rice as pyrolyzer, indirect type also in Rojas Mindoro. Next slide. Then this is a direct type rice as gasifier for power application. So we can generate electricity as well as biochar at the same time. Next slide. Okay, so characteristics. So biochar, the important is high carbon content, then water holding capacity. So the biochar can absorb more water compared with non-biochar or not processed into biochar. We have a high silica content for rices. And we have low volatile matter. That is a characteristic, additional characteristic. Next slide. So it's porous, no? So it is it's like the water can stay there, even microorganisms and others. Then the pH content, it varies from 4.6 to 9.3. So sometimes acidic, sometimes basic. So it depends on the exposure, the temperature we use. Next slide. So chemical composition, so those are carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Then surface area are given there. So if you have this file, you can get this information later. Next slide. So concluding remark, biochar plays vital role not only for climate change mitigation but also for agriculture and industry application. Two methods. We have the direct and indirect, and it depends on the moisture content, temperature, and time exposure of rices or other biomass. Co-byproducts like bio-oil during production of biochar need to be assessed because possible harmful effect they may cause to the surroundings. So these are examples of the bio-oil, which now we are converting this bio-oil into heavy fuel oil for thermal applications. Next slide. So biosyngas is also available. Need special attention. Then when biochar is a primary target for utilization, low temperature pyrolysis is much suitable. Whereas if we want for a power generation, we utilize gasification process. Less gas is produced for pyrolyzer while less biochar for gasifier. Next slide. Thank you very much and God bless.
Wow, thank you, engineer Alexis, because that's really fantastic. It's really bad because you have 1 hour, but the next hour we can talk more about it. So I'm sorry we have to cut this
Yes, sir.
short. It's so fantastic. The next speaker is Dr. Claro Torres, who will give us other benefits. And then we have 10 minutes for open forum. But from 9 to 10, we can talk some more. But this is fantastic. It's the most powerful group I've seen, okay, in all our years. What a fantastic group. And I know you're doing so well. I don't know if we can help. Anyway, please go ahead, Dr. Torres, please. This would be the benefits of... Please go ahead, Dr. Torres.
Slide, please. There's a slide. Yeah. Good morning again, everyone. I will be presenting what biochar can do in agriculture. Next. Next. This is not important. Next slide. Well, much has been said on biochar. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go through with the next. That's not okay. Okay, back. There's okay. The what biochar can do in agriculture can actually be summarized into three things. First, biochar can improve the physical characteristic of the soil. Second, it can also improve the chemical characteristic of the soil. And of course, the third one, it increases the biological properties of the soil. Let me explain a little more what does it mean. When we say physical characteristics of the soil, we are now dealing with the physical makeup of the soil. And as an agriculturist, we know very well that the physical characteristic of the soil has an important bearing on crop yield. For example, if your soil is made up of heavy clay loam, which is heavy soil, that means that the plant will not be happy when it comes to the multiplication of the roots, because this means less oxygen and therefore the root development will be hampered. But with biochar application, one of the interesting facts that happening is that when you apply biochar in the soil, it makes the soil friable, and because of that, it allows oxygen to penetrate, and as a result, it improves the growth of the roots. Now, going to chemical properties aspect, we know very well that biochar also contains some elemental nutrients that are needed by the plants. To mention a few, it has phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and of course, it high amount of silica, which can be found only in rice husk. And of course, the biochar can also increase the acidity of the soil. And this is very important if you are dealing with the soil that is inherently acidic, just like the acaricio soil. So with the biochar, you tend to increase the level of the pH to near neutrality, which is more favorable generally for the growth of the plant. And aside from that, it also increased the cation exchange capacity. As an agriculturist, this is very important because if you have a CEC capacity, that means your soil has a higher capacity to absorb the cations available in the soil that can readily be available to the plant roots when it is needed. And aside from that, it prevents the leaching and losses of the soil if you have a high CEC of the soil. Next. Going to biological properties, improvement in the soil, many studies have shown that we apply biochar in the soil because of its inherent characteristic of holding more water. Biochar become a very good shelter for the growth of microorganisms. And we all know that to improve the viability of the soil, when we would like to revitalize the soil, one of the important things that we have to enrich are the population of the microorganisms in the soil, particularly the beneficial microorganisms. And this high amount of microorganisms in the soils, in one way or another, help the roots of the plant to absorb many of the nutrients available around the root zone. In fact, latest studies have shown that when you apply biochar in the soil, it does not only increase the population of beneficial microorganisms, but it somehow activated the immune or the resistance mechanism of the plant. That's why there were reports that when you apply biochar, the plant become resistant to attack of diseases. It also become resistant to water stress, and in some cases, it becomes more it stand alone when there is a time that there is a water deficiency or drought in the soil. So all of this putting together, it improved the physical characteristic of the soil. It has improved the chemical properties of the soil. It improved the biological properties of the soils. And what else can you ask for? The totality is increase the growth of the plants and naturally the yield of plants in agriculture. But it does not only limited on plants. We have also shown that biochar is a very good bedding material for poultry. And when you use biochar as a bedding material for poultry, it control the infestation of the housefly 100%. And because of this, method is becoming adopted already or becoming popular in areas where the poultry growers are utilizing this material for the purpose of controlling the housefly. And at the same time, it also makes the production of biofertilizer very ideal because when you use biochar as a bedding material after harvesting the birds, then the biochar and chicken dung mixture will be mixed together. We collected this and we bring it to our fermentation plant or decomposition area. And after fermentation, we use it as an organic fertilizer again for the crops. And this what makes biochar become in a circularity, from rice hull to biochar to the poultry to the organic fertilizer, bring back to the soil. So this what we are talking as a circular economy of a biochar production facility. I think I will end up of this so we can have more time on open forum.
Okay, wow, that's great. I mean, you 6 minutes. Yeah. Well, thank you, thank you. As we said, we have 1 hour. We'll open the floor to questions. Okay, and then we'll have more information. But we're after planning, right? Vivian, can you call the people who want to ask questions, please? May I ask James Thomas? James, you're here. You gave a talk on biochar. We intend really help make this really spread because you have experience in it. Tell us your reaction and what you think the contribution might be. They're so fantastic. I think they need no one else, but we can also have other people. What do you think of this presentation and how can you help them and how can they help you? James, go ahead. Please unmute. James, you're muted right now. James, can you unmute, please? Yes, please go ahead, James. You're still muted. You're still muted. Can you unmute again? James, you've got to unmute. Unmute.
There we go.
There we go.
Good.
But keep it short because we have only a few minutes left. But 9 to 10, we can talk some more. Please, James.
No, I'm excited about this. I started in this probably first with biochar 2011 or 9. So the work that they've done, but you've got an incredible collection of people here.
You bet.
I'm very interested in knowing, well, there's many things, but there's also a large utilization of rice hull for power generation and also for heat burning as a feedstock in the ceramic and in the cement industries. So we're competing with that group, also from Nueva Ecija. I would also like to know, so that's one consideration. I would like to know more about the inoculation of the biochar from the time it gets quenched till the time it goes to the farmer. They touched on that in the using the biochar under the chicken houses. There's also an opportunity to make biochar from the chicken manure, and that's an incredibly mineral-rich finished biochar once it's made from chicken manure. I've got excess, and there are more coffee grounds, say, from Nestle, 40, 50 tons a week, which is 50% water coming out of Makati. That would make good biochar. We're currently composting that and turning it into vermi, feeding it to vermi. And up at James Rice Mill in Talavera, one of the retired professors from CLSU had a JICA financed gasifier, which is back in their bank of rice dryers. And that's something that I'm not sure what's going, and when I visited it years ago, it was dormant. And maybe that's something else that could be looked at in incorporating that particular piece of equipment, updating it, and getting it plugged in, because there's certainly enough rice hull available at in Talavera.
Okay.
So I'm very excited. I'd like to learn. I'd like to work with these guys to explore how we can work with other feedstocks.
Okay. For purpose of the international audience, we'll ask Dodgy or whomever he wants to call to respond to you. We have room for maybe one other question, then we have to close. Okay. Dodgy, would you like to react or have one of your speakers react, please?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, James, for your for the information that you have shared. But and let me also share to you. Actually, you are correct that there is really a challenge on the source of rice hull as an agricultural biomass for feedstock. Yeah, because most of the bulk of this rice hull is actually being used by the power plants. Our facility is only utilizing 8 tons per 8 tons of rice hull per day. But the power plants, a 20 megawatt operating in San Jose, is utilizing 500 tons per day of rice hull. So our business model right now is to put a biochar facility right beside a rice mill, so that whatever rice hull can come out of the rice mill is the one that will be utilized as a source of feedstock to sustain the operation of the biochar facility. And we can design the biochar, the gasifier or pyrolyzer, depending on the volume that is available in that particular rice mill. Now, if rice mills are not enough to be able to supply the required biomass as feedstock for biochar operation, then we can adjust our business model by putting a biochar facility in a cluster of rice mill. So just like what we are now doing in Oriental Mindoro, that our biochar facility, while inside a rice mill, can actually get other rice husks from nearby rice mills in order to support the requirement of a feedstock. And yes, you're also right that we have tried to, and as earlier shown by Engineer Alexis, that we can utilize other agricultural waste, agricultural biomass like the rice straw. And the only challenge for using other biomass is actually the moisture content, because as we know, rice hull is already coming from the dryers, so its moisture content is below 14%, while all other agricultural waste biomass like rice straw are coming directly from the field, so the moisture content is higher than 14%. And to produce high quality biochar, the moisture content should be below 14%. So you have to do an additional process of drying, and if the size would not fit the screw conveyor to feed the biomass inside the pyrolyzer or gasifier, you have to do the additional process of chopping. And the challenge there is, of course, this additional process can increase the price of biochar. Let me also inform the group that insofar as the mixture of biochar and chicken that we are doing as an application, the International Rice Research Institute is now already doing a research on the efficacy of the biochar chicken dung mixture, which is actually 80% chicken dung and 20% biochar per a poultry cycle. They are now testing this on what is its efficacy in rice production. But insofar as the mixture is concerned, we have already brought this to the highlands of Benguet and even in Nueva Vizcaya. And there are already farmers that have shown that they are very satisfied with the effect of biochar chicken, the mixture in their plantation.